Okay, so we're looking at a Maimer from Tafshin Tes that the Chaad Rebbe gave out, and this Maimer is part of a Hemshech, 4 Ma'amarim, a Kuntras that went out in 1949, and
Put out or gave out, like physically.
The Rebbe wrote the Ma'amarim, maybe the Chaad Rebbe. Yeah, or the Rebbe put it together, and the Chaad Rebbe added some inyanim, the beginnings and ends. With this Hemshech, I think the Rebbe, and besides the Rebbe wrote a Oris, which you have later, it could be the Chaad Rebbe wrote the whole Hemshech. Kol Dodi, Ani Yeshena is a short Maimer, V'nocha. So I want to start from Ois Beis. In the first Ois, the first Maimer is Kol Dodi. So the Chaad Rebbe brings that Kol Dodi is the voice of Mashiach, that Mashiach is coming. And he explains the famous Indian that when the Yidden went down to Mitzrayim, the Eibishter said 2 Yeridis. And V'anoichi a'alcha gam olei, I'm going to take you out 2 aliyahs, but then eventually they only went out 1 aliyah. The final aliyah is Gula Hasidah. And all Goliyos are called Al Shem Mitzrayim. In the Bris Bein Absorim, he brings from the Medrash, the Eibishter hinted to Avram Avinu that they're going to be in 4 Golosim. And Mitzrayim is not included because Mitzrayim is like Keser de Klippe. And he speaks a little bit that all Klippe is like Keser, but anyways, Nishnegeh. So, and then we go to Ois Beis. Yeah, then we go to Ois Beis. So he says like this, V'hine. But Lekutei Torah Shom, and Lekutei Torah where he speaks about the Dalet Goliath, so Esau, maybe in Parshas Bahar, he was Mitzayin earlier. He brings that Edom and Yishmael hein trein Yarchim, that the 2 klippos, Edom and Yishmael, represent the 2 thighs. Vehem bechinas netzach v'hoid the klippe. So in the dream that Nebuchadnezzar saw, which he didn't remember what he saw, and then he started killing the Chachomim because they couldn't tell him. In other words, not only did they have to tell him the meaning of what he saw, but also what he saw. And then famously Daniel, he fasted, and Daniel came and he told him, he reminded him of his dream, and then Nebuchadnezzar said, yeah, oh, Taka, that was Taka my dream. He said, in your dream you saw a man, you know, his head was made of gold, and then as the body went down, it was made of different material. You know, silver and copper, and even lower was even wood, you know, lower. So basically the message was that the head is the Malchus of Nebuchadnezzar, but that's not going to last forever. There's going to be other kingdoms that are going to follow. Clay, it's going to devolve, so it's going to get lower and lower. And Nebuchadnezzar famously after that, he built a statue all made of gold. In other words, it symbolized that his kingdom would last forever. And he said everyone has to bow to it. So Netzach and Hoid, the thighs of this statue, of this dream, of this vision in the dream, are the further kingdoms of the further Goliyos. After Bavel, there's Edom and Yishmael, and they represent the Trein Yarchin, the 2 hips of Klippe, which are Netzach and Hoid. V'lachem, being that Edom and Yishmael are the hips. S'ikar Aveda Bizman HaGolus, hu b'bchinas Netzach v'Hoid Dafka. The Choira, he means Bizman HaGolus now, in our current Golus, after Churban Bayis Sheni. Dihine. What is Managolus? Managolus, whose man hahelem v'ahester, when a likus is hidden, concealed. Ve'ini doimel is manabayis. Shahoya zman hagili v'ha'er. That was a time of light. You know, learning this Maimer, it helped me identify a feeling after Gimel Tammuz. I'm not saying now that my feeling was the right feeling, but
But you had it, you didn't know what it was.
I had a natural reaction, which basically was that the inner bittul that we felt standing in front of the Rebbe, thank you, I'm not going to experience again. That kind of inner bittul. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, in other words, I'm saying it with words, right? I didn't know the words. There was something, I said to my friends, on a pager, if I'm going to get now 911, nothing's going to feel urgent anymore. Like what could be, like, in other words, something changed. What changed? There's a revelation that's missing. Gilui results in a very deep bittul. Like you don't need to argue about it. You know, it's not a debate. It's not logical. It's just an experience. And that the Frierdiker Rebbe is going to explain that why is it that it says a little bit further. Why does he say that nowadays we can't be mishtachava? We say in Mipnei Chatainu, Vein Onu Yecholim, Laleis v'leirois u'lishtachveis. So I understand, Laleis you can't, leirois you can't, but lishtachveis you could bow. But he says no, ishtachava means that inner bittul, that feeling, that's automatic. It's such a deep place.
That it's not calculated. It's not performed.
It's not. He's gonna do the act, We'll put out a tissue and it'll bow down.
So Lahavdil, when they say that, the way the king walks in, they just automatically.
Yeah. So that was mana bias. The ein soif heir begilu. That what they experienced was beyond their. In other words, ein soif. You can't absorb ein soif. So every time it's revealed, all the circuits are blown. It's an overwhelming experience. V'lachem, bizman habayis, hoyu neshamas Yisrael b'bchinas panim b'panim. Panim b'panim means that the Eibishter's pnimius and our pnimius faced each other. Pirush panim b'panim hu b'chinas panim el-yonim. Shahayu b'chinas pnimius v'gilu. That the inner light of Hashem was revealed. V'lachem, gam b'neshamas Yisrael. What is the pnim? What you truly want. Your ultimate, right? The end of all the means. All your desires, that's chayfetz. Chayfetz is pnimiyas ratzon. Why do I work? Because I want money. Why do I want money? I don't even know yet. What's it going to do for me? So that's chayfetz. Because panim shel hanefesh hainu mashu chefzahu amiti, the true essence of what he truly wants. Hainu bizman habayis hoya kolos neshamas Yisrael betivam nimshachim lavedas Hashem. They naturally wanted to serve the Eibishter. The bizman habayis hoya gili alikus ukeneida. The bebeis hamikdash hoya meir gili eid ein seif mamosh. The Gemara says, "Shem shebal lires kach bal leirois, leirois kach bal lires." You came to show yourself, and you came to see. The Eibishter showed himself to us. Shero bechinas gili ein seif mamash umemele naturally hoya neshamas Yisrael pnimiyusam in their truth gam ken lavedas Hashem chol. Shaking the golos, so B'chinas has to upon him, the Eibishter is hidden. The Ksiv, here part of the Teichacha, the Eibishter says, V'amreichi, haster, aster, pone, bayemahu. Amr Azal, the Gemara says, and he brings here from Yerushalmi, Ein lecha shoah kosher ba'olam, there was no more difficult moment, me'oiz ha'shoah, she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe, V'amreichi, haster, aster. That darkness, that concealment, there's nothing worse. Yeah. It's very dark. We don't see signs. We don't know what the future brings. We don't know where this is going. Uksiv, he brings a chsidische taich on the pasuk. Lama yemru agoyim ayei elekehem. The Eibishter of the Yidden is ayei, is a mystery. We don't know where he is. Shohalikus hu b'bchinas ayei, she'ena musuk. It's not revealed at all. Umishum zeh, naturally, ein b'neshamas Yisrael gamkin b'chinas bittul pnimi. It's just not there. Now he brings this word to Kameshon, Oimim b'nusach for the Samasofim b'yomtov. We say, ve'ein anu yechelim, la'leis v'leirois l'shtachos l'fanacha. Bish leive mashe in anu yechelim, la'leis v'leirois, we can't go see nicha. Fine, we understand. B'nei river alams v'esterim, churban abayis, yibana b'mheira made to be rebuilt quick soon. Hare'ein anu yechelim la'leis. Avo. Why can't we bow? It was inside of them. Therefore, Ein anu yechelim la lishtachlis. Liyah is v'chinas bittul pnimi. It's not possible. Ki'im. So now he goes back to what he said. There's 2 pages. Yeah. Now he goes back to what he said at the beginning of this ois. That ikir mehus aveda bizman agolos. So because we don't have the pnimius, because the pasuk says v'anoichi haster aster, that the Eibishter concealed himself. Therefore, there has to be a different mode of work, a different mode of service. The first word on the line is Bittul Pnimi, more than halfway down the page. Ki'im, Iker mehus o aveda bizman ha'golos hu dafke b'bchinas midas hanitzuach. The main function, the main work is just to be dedication, like loyalty, commitment, understanding, an emotional experience. That's beyond us. Just to be dedicated with a steadfast commitment. That's the avodah. Yeah. That is represented by the hips. Right? We talk about the upper body. So the upper body has emotion. In other words, that's the area of our experience. The extremities, the arms and the legs, the arms really represent emotion as well. But the legs represent action, and that's what it's about, commitment to action, to do the right thing. And now the Frierdiker Rebbe explains, so let's just another 2 lines. Dahainu li'es chazek b'bchinas nitzuach neged kol meinea me'avedes Hashem v'lamid chazok neged kol ma'akev miladavka be'yizborech. Anything that gets in the way to try to interfere with our divine service, to be very determined not to let it get in the way, and to strengthen ourselves. V'zeis tiya avedes ha'odam. This is our work in the world. Li'es chazak b'kir mateiru mitzvahs v'peil mamish af she'ein le bazeh hergish v'chayes pnimi. Even though he doesn't feel it deeply, and it doesn't excite him, he doesn't have passion. But when you have commitment, even when you don't have passion, you do what you need to do. Now, in the next section, the Frierdiker Rebbe explains the connection of machshava dibur u'maisa in the excitement. When a person is excited about something, they think about it all the time. When you think about it, you talk about it. When you talk about it, you're going to get to do it. In other words, it generates this whole energy. It's like when somebody let's say we're learning this Maimer. So now, tomorrow, I'm going to learn a sikha. And somehow, I'm going to find a connection. Just because this is on your mind. So then, so whatever you're into, whatever is a topic of conversation, that's what you discuss. So here he talks about this idea how machshava feeds dibur, dibur feeds ma'aseh. So let's take a look. Dehine, chayes pnimi, to be truly passionate about something, excited. Hu dafke al yedei yiseres avavira. That's only when a person develops, they work on themselves, develop love for Hashem, love and awe. Like the Chaad Rebbe explains, right in the beginning of Tanya and Perek Daled, and he quotes the words, "V'amekayimon be'emes," a person who fulfills Torah and mitzvahs truthfully. Who is that? What does it take? Who?
It's not Matana?
Huh?
It's not Matana?
He says who? He doesn't speak of Matana. He only speaks about in Yud Daled. Right? Matana is to always be inspired at a higher level. In other words, to be inspired without having to do, just to enjoy being. That's a gift with the Eibishter. That's the Avodas Matana. Otherwise, it's only by learning and akaponim. Yeah. So the Alter Rebbe, continuing the phrase of Tanya, "Amekayim be'emes hu ha'oyev es Shem Hashem," one who loves the Eibishter. V'chafetz l'davka bai, the word by chulu is be'emes. He truly yearns to be connected to Hashem. The b'chdei sheyiyeh chayes v'herdish ba'avodasi, that there should be feeling and vitality in his avodah, hu ha'yedei hiseres havavira davka ani lodim min asaga v'izbeinus, which require meditation. V'chein onoroyim b'muchash, we see tangibly. The chayes ha'maisa hu ha'yedei adibur, v'kiyum adibur hu ha'yedei ha'machshava, v'achayes b'machshava ba me'amidus. Why you think about it? Because you love it, because you care about it, so you think about it. Yeah. V'amidus ne'lodim al pi ha'seichel, kashem ezbeinu b'sichlei shedavar zeh tevel lefanov. Here is something good for you. Harei mis'erer be'ava v'kiru v'ladavar ahu. He becomes drawn to it. Oh, this is good for me. V'nimshach elav b'chayes rav, and he's drawn to it with incredible excitement. Umemele, he lays in bed, then he talks to his friends about it, and he sees who else I could. It becomes that's the whole in them linked. Ad shaba etzlei b'asiyah b'poyel, till practically it happens. In the singing world, we have a lot of it, right? Someone says, "Oh, I want to get a stella for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur." What happens? For a whole summer, he's singing and he's thinking. And he's
so this is like leading up to the point of la'alis l'shtachel, meaning it's saying that there's like a hierarchy or a process that happens. So you can't just achieve. It's
what
not
is
because
the Hester
in order.
What's your name? Oh, I didn't. He's like a clown at Pravat Purim though.
Yeah, he's still in the...
You're getting ready for the summer with the spring hat. Okay, very nice. Yeah, we're on page 108 and 4 lines from the bottom, Avo. Right? What he's saying is that, in other words, he already moved that today, nowadays, in order to be strong in Kiyum HaMitzvahs, you have to just be committed. Because otherwise, the true pnimius we don't have.
Yeah, but this what leads from the night. The commitment leads to the machshava, which leads to the diva, and leads to the ma'aser. So you can't get to the ma'aser without the commitment. That's technically what I'm trying to say. So
No. What you're bringing out a very good point, because he's speaking about in the Zman HaGolus, the normal pathways are not going to be there.
Right. It doesn't exist the way it was back then. It wasn't, so to speak, like spoon-fed. So now you have to take a certain path to get down to...
Here, I'll show you. There's one line which he makes this whole distinction. He says, "V'zeis tia aveirus ha'onam." This is what our work is. Lies chazok b'kiyum ha'teira mitzvahs b'peil mamish, af she'ein loy bazeh hergish v'chayes pnimi. Right?
Lav davka.
Even if
That
you're
you
not
don't have
inspired.
it. Right. But how does that work? It's saying this.
No.
this
Chayes pnimi, what does it take to be truly inspired? Oh, it takes a lot of work. It takes meditation.
no, we're not talking about meditation, but in order to go out and do the mitzvah and all of that thing, it has to come from starts in machshava, and it goes to divra, and it goes to ma'aseh.
That's when you're going to be inspired. And the point that the Friedrich Rebbe is getting to is, I can't wait for you to be inspired. In Zman HaGolus, you have to be committed.
Do it anyway. Do it anyway and do it now.
Netzach and Hoid, the idea of Netzach and Hoid, and he's going to describe it, you know, what it means to be, like we use the word enduring, right? The Indian of obviously Nitzachon is victory, but you know, it's, so let's see. So back to the 4 lines from the bottom. Avo, here, we're coming back to this point. Kasher ein yiseirus avo v'yir. When he's not inspired. Oz, hu b'loi hergish v'chayes pnimi. He's not excited about it. V'li yeis shebizman hagolos rabu ha'alam is v'asteidim b'ma'id. We're very busy. Even today, even yeshiva b'chanim are busy. You know what it takes just to wash your laundry? You could be busy for a month just thinking about it. It's not so pashut. Ve'loi b'nokel kol kach this erev b'ava v'yira al pi atam v'das ha'izbenius. It's not so easy. People are busy. People are worried. There are many things, or people don't have the information. In order to be mizboinin, you need a good Maimer. Someone has to give you a little hadracha. No one told you how to do it. You don't have the right Maimer. You know, what are you going to think about? So therefore, hine zeisi aveda. So in lieu of being that we don't have these things, or not everyone has them. So therefore, zeisi asher mikom mokim. Nevertheless, yizgaber ba'atmei b'derech hanitzachon. Push yourself. Yisholim v'chazak v'kiyum ha'teira mitzvahs, to be complete, to be whole in our fulfillment of Torah and mitzvahs. So that's just a concept. Okay, that's one Indian. That's Netzach. Then he's going to talk about Hoid. What I want to do now, I want to go to Dalet. We'll read a little bit from Gimel, and then we'll go straight to Dalet. Aveda Hashniya, the second area of service, of work. Asher bizman hagolus, hu aveda behoida'a. Hoida'a, to admit, to accept, even though I don't understand. That's the Indian of Hoida'a. Again, it's a quote. L'ishtachvos u'lahidis la'Hashem asher machaya u'mahava es hakol. Right? To recognize Hashem as the creator of the world, and v'hakol b'chol b'metzias etzlei v'kula kamei k'lo chashiv v'ka'ayin v'efes mamish. It says v'afilu she'ein onu masidim, even though we don't truly understand. Eich hu hakol ayin mamish kamei. We truly recognize that that's the way it is. And he explains that hoidah bechlal hu bittul. To admit something is to be humble.
Where is the word admitted coming in here?
Of hoidah, like moida ani. Like moidim chachomim l'Rabneir.
Put this together.
Yeah, it's broad in Chassidus. Yeah. So in other words,
it's one, it's the other.
In a strange way, the difference between Netzach and Hoid, what I'm saying now is a very sweeping generalization. Yeah, is that Netzach is somebody who's fighting to win.
Right.
And Hoid is someone who holds on to a belief. It's like the little kid who's trying to fight with a bully, even though he knows for sure he's going to lose.
Uh-huh.
But I have to fight for the truth. What's the truth? The truth is, you can't just go around bullying people. So I'm not going to go down quietly. But what kind of match are you for him?
I always think that this is Eidah is from the word of thanks. Moidani is thankful to you.
Yeah, so in a certain way, that's like a more superficial way.
Which one? The thankful.
The Maidani. The thankful. Thankful, I'm thankful. Thankful is also humble. Because if I don't need you, I'm not thankful to you. So
it's an acknowledgement. So okay, so that means
right.
that's the same
The
word.
deeper, that's why the Chaad Rebbe brings this idea that when he goes through a whole thing, that when a person wakes up in the morning, there's a very beautiful place in a Maimer in the Kol Dodi we learned last year, that when a person wakes up in the morning, he's in a fight with Hashem. I'm a Metzias. Right? So, and then when he says Maidani, he says, okay, I'm being moided to
I maybe
you.
I'm Metzias, but
That
I'm not
really
as big a Metzias
you're the Eibishter,
right.
and then Moidani, and then the Hoidu, and then the Moidim. To truly, what's the Hoidah? That the Eibishter is the Yesh and we're the Ayin.
Okay, but by the time you get to the Moedim, you already hopefully
Right.
just from the Moedim.
But in other words, we have a change of our opinion. It's like, let's say we lost. We were holding on to a truth that, what do you mean? I'm important.
I'm Metzias.
And I'm a Metzias. And we said, no, the Eibishter is the Metzias. We're Batel.
Yeah.
So there's that concept of Eidah, like a deeper. Yeah. And then here, the Frierdiker Rebbe in this ice, he brings different levels of bittul, like when you bow, when you kneel, or you like prostrate completely. That in other words,
How about the word?
my head and my body are on the same level.
Right.
I know that
balance.
I can't understand what you know what it means to create the world. No, I can't. Right? In
You
other
battle
words,
somebody because of their size, so you're scared. It's not,
he brings
it's
a
not-
mashal here, the Chacham Gadol. Right, a very wise person. The people who have some intelligence recognize that their intelligence is insignificant relative to that. There's a certain sense, a deep sense of bittul, like a shame even, to that incredible greatness. So it's all levels, right? But that, in other words, the idea is going back to the seichel, that in general, everything we do, we operate, our brain guides everything that we do. So what?
I'm guided by your brain.
I'm going to dismiss, in other words, in our consciousness.
Most of us are not guided by the brain.
I'm not talking about the Ruach Shtus now.
Oh, but
In
that's
other
the
words,
Metzias of most of us.
right, our consciousness, if you're asking me to do something, I'm going to ask you to explain, to justify.
What do I get out of it?
Well,
Right?
usually it's like by Kortmal of Shull, it's just saying it now in the time. It's
Tanya.
beautiful. He says most people the drive is either Hava or Ira. You either love the guy and you're going to do it because you love the guy, or you fear, they
Right,
run out of
whatever the
yourself.
consequences. Or,
Yeah.
Even if you're afraid that people are not going to like you, it doesn't matter. But so that's
Yeah, it's
also a
Hava or Ira,
motivator.
one of the two.
Yeah. So here he's saying, bittul is to say, I can't understand it, but I accept it truly. Right? That's the inyan of Eidah. If the Eibusher created the world, so he has such a position of control.
Checkmate.
Imagine
Right.
you could manipulate any, right? You made it, so it's nothing. It's like it's so insignificant that you created the whole thing, right? It's like somebody playing chess with themselves. Whatever. I don't know if it's a good mashal or a bad mashal. Let's take a look at Dalet. V'hine muvun hu. So now the Friedrich Rebbe is going to talk about this idea of what does it look, what should it look like to be bottled to the Eibishter, and what happens if a person is arrogant and he's missing that humility. The moving who it's understood. The misha masig besichle al kolponim, someone who understands logically the kula kamek alochashi, that the world relative to Hashem is nothing. Eine muta be'atzmei loymar the yesh umetzias hine be'eza eifin sheyeh yochel liyas klila elikus. He doesn't convince himself that a person could be arrogant and at the same time be a vessel to Hashem. To be a yesh, to be a metzias, and to be a kli to elikus at the same time, it's not possible. The toes kazeh, to make such a mistake, yachalita is rak mi she'en lishum asad b'klal. Someone.
So it's saying that to be a yesh, that you can be bottled or not even bittul, like to be a yesh and therefore you can't continue, or being a yesh and to think that you could still be bottled.
To think that I could still be a kli. In other words, I'll be a balgaiva. And but
through bit, like you convince yourself that you're doing it through bittul, or it means that you can't be a kli.
A person will say it's okay for me to hold on to my ego,
right? But I'm still,
and I'm going to learn chassidus, and I'm going to daven, and I'm going to really I'm going to become a kli. I'm going to really absorb godliness, really.
True that.
I have a madrega ruchnis. Despite it, yeah. He says, he says a person that has a bissel seichel understands that that's not possible. It doesn't work that way. If we speak about it in a more, how would I say it, in a way that's more understood in the street, is that people who are trying to grow spiritually, they're afraid, they realize that they have to let go of some of their weaknesses in order to grow. But they're very afraid. Because in a certain way, they feel like those things define me. Or to say it in a simple way, imagine someone's going to say, I understand that in order to grow, I can never lie again. But I'm afraid to never lie, because lying helps me. Right. So there's a fear to let go. So what he's saying is, a person says, I want to stay the way I am, and I'm going to be a kli to elikus.
You're going to make it work.
If you're staying the way you are, then you're not a kli. Yeah, so look how he expresses. He says, Tos kazeh, only someone who doesn't have shum hasaga kal, he has no grasp of the concept. Al derech, similar to Gan ve'apum achtarta rachmana karya, the thief asking God for help. Ma shem mispal alav vayahu fishu maimer b'Hashem, he believes. Om lo ma'amunah shaleyu kol kach behelam v'ester achein meir b'sichle kol. He doesn't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Asher Hazon, we spoke about this many, many times here in the Shir, that the thief, what should the thief be asking? Instead of asking Hashem to help him steal successfully, he should be asking Hashem to help him have parnasa from somewhere else, to help him not steal. So he says here, and he expresses it here in different words. Asher Hazon u'mafarnis yizborach, the Eibishter.
You already asked it.
He's the mashbir, he's the zon, he's the mafarnis, he's the one who sustains the whole world. It's impossible. Lo yitochen adover klal, it's impossible that the Eibishter yachpoitz, that the Eibishter wants, asher panasosi tia, al yidei emtsos dover ha'osur. The Eibishter wants your parnasa to be by committing a crime. Any form of theft im geneva bepeil mamish, whether stealing money from someone. Egam genevas das, oino, tricking people. Asura hi al pi HaTorah, it's forbidden. Vehu, not only is it forbidden, but it's tayavas Hashem asher soneh. It's something that to Hashem is despicable to steal. Veha'im bedas tzalula isakim. Does this make sense with a clear mind that this is what you're doing? Shemefakesh es Hashem sheyatzliach le bignevase. Meaning, v'hainu shemevakesh asher ve'efnu kazeh dafke through stealing tia parnasosa. That's how he's going to make his money. Ein zeh ki hu amuna shalei betachlis ahelim ve'einu me'iru b'sichle klal. It's not, he doesn't get it. V'chein hu bozeh. It's exactly the same thing with a person hamedame b'nafshei who imagines ki ba'avedasei with avedus Hashem yasa es hayeshes umetzias likli alalikus, that his ego is going to be a keli. The be'emes hayeshes v'ametzias b'kol efen sheyiyah hu dover amos ve'enei Hashem. Yeshes, ego, is despised by Hashem. It's not only shei efsher b'shum efen sheyiyah kli alalikus. In the Ezes, not only you can be a vessel, you're a menagid. Sharei ein ani v'hu yechelim loder. The Eibusha says, we can't be in the same place. Umi shehu yesh v'gas haruach harei hu aved zoram mamash.
It's rebel.
The Plidik ever doesn't split
hairs.
He doesn't hold back.
Right.
He says, such a person is mamash al yetchke. He's mamash al aved zoram. Umuvan. Mi she'er sichle meir. Someone whose mind is working. Harei efshe sheyeh muta b'toz gomor kazeh lachshev, to think that gases and yeshes yeh kli lelikus. Adarabbe. Be'er sichle yavin will understand. Ki kol dover v'dover yeh ma sheyeh. Rak sheyeh dover sheyuchel ha'afridim ma'achdus yizborach. Yeah, in other words, anything in the world that has the possibility to separate him from Hashem, he doesn't want. Anything that could possibly, we sat by Fabring in the Belachaim with Yutas Kislev every year. Somehow he would he would say, he would start getting into this idea, I don't want to be an Avodah Zorah. And then he said, Oi, I said, I. And he would take his cane and he would hit himself on the head. I don't want to be an ich. Again. Ich is Avodah Zorah. With such intensity, was so real. Like mufrach. It says, V'hainu, lasis eisei liyesh umetzias, ein itzarach lachbeis b'shum efen. Anything in the world that would make him have a little ego, he doesn't want. Even though there is bein nezu, harei ein zeh shelibe mispoil v'zeh be'emes. It's not that it's not affecting him emotionally. It's an idea. Leah is b'chinas rotzoi v'kiloyin mamash. It's not that he's like, I understand that to be a yesh is to be separate from Hashem. So I want to be completely bottled, and I want to have klais hanefesh. That's not the natural. It's not leading him to want to be ois mitzias and bottled to elikus completely. That's a very high level. Kamekin einim is bottled harashabay. The ra in him is still there. B'chinas bittul mamash. He doesn't. It's not lishapcha. He shouldn't want anything else. By really thinking about it, and then making a resolution. The right thing is Lias cheftzei uretzoinoi likolol batzmusi yizborach. The right thing is to become united with Hashem. And the right thing is to only desire connection with Hashem, nothing else. The Lias b'chinas rotzen echad la'avaya levade. Shezem misamests etzlei me'oid. It becomes very real to him. Shekach yasa leichulu. Harei al yedei zeh, when a person has this commitment, nasa al kol ponim ktsas bittul benafshei. Ukemoi habittul dehoidah. It can be compared to this idea. You see here how the Frierdiker Rebbe phrases this about hoidah, moidim. The kasher moide luzulosei. When a person admits to someone else, you know what? You're right. Ein zeh masher moide le'levad. It's not just that you're admitting. Ki im gashu mashu mizbatel elov. It's also humbling. When you admit, you're humbling. I'm saying you are right. It's humbling. Well,
You are right, you should be told it's wrong.
yeah.
That's the...
The main thing is to have this kafir. Alkol ponim shleyi akeichas nefesh habam is pashtus klal. Not to be so lozen. Not to be hefker, his pashtus. Hagam shenefesh habam is leines batel be'etzamusa, even though the nefesh habam is not batel. The kolmokim leis pashut klal. He's so limited. B'shum keach tivi shabei. B'kol inyanim asher lo ilavayahim. Anything that's against Hashem. V'lo yeh shum taiva v'rotzen begili b'inyani elam hazeh. He doesn't desire gashmius. It's only learning and davening and doing mitzvahs, doing what you need to do. That's the meaning of bowing. Not laying on the floor, not pishut yadayim v'raglayim, shu b'chinas chitzonius. Yakriyo gamkem asher markin b'reisha, you bow your head. Omnom ein zeh shereisha v'ragli shovin klal. V'hainu da'agam shem markin b'reisha, even though you bow your head. You don't fall down. You still have your balance. What does it mean, Neruchnius? Even though he understands that every Eibishter, he's humbled a little bit. Outwardly. Vezeu inyan o aveda dizman agolos. Le'eirer midas hanitzuach shebenefesh, to awaken in us this determination, the eschazok b'kiyum ateiru o mitzvahs. That's what we do. That's the affirmative. That's our actions. And then there's what we don't do. V'chein b'haidah. Le'ageas atzmei ba'aveda shebelev zu tefillah, to work on ourselves, lahavin o lahaskil, and that will lead that the nefesh habamis will be contained. It won't be a hefker. And that's why when we learn Chassidus, we become very sensitive when we watch someone that's unhinged. Because the whole inyan of Chassidus is to be contained. Sometimes a person is just walking down the street. He makes a comment to everyone he sees. It's like the whole sidewalk belongs to him. He's a gangster. The Indian Chassidus is to be humble, not to contain the Nefesh HaBamis, not to be
to be out of
such a,
It's serious.
The Rebbe also, when he went into Shull, he could have, I'm sure he could have, every person, very, very completely contained. No. When the Rebbe turned to someone, it was such a big deal, right? It was such a change from the regular thing that when the Rebbe stopped once a year to say, it was like, wow, you saw me, just that time. For someone that
when we went to Russia in '91, the way We stop by Mincha.